We figured out a hack for Google Images and how it was a major payoff on one of the cases we worked on. We're here with our next episode of Did You Know? This is like a little short story time, teaching people about what investigators do and how we add value to your cases. So how did I hack Google Images? How did I figure out a way to gather some information on a case? Well, this was a case that happened in Brooklyn. Our client was involved in an accident with a van hitting his vehicle. You could tell it was like a commercial vehicle. The client was smart enough to actually take pictures, the positions of the vehicle when the accident happened, but he also just took pictures of the license plate of that vehicle, and he did not take pictures of any signage on the side of the vehicle. The license plates were registered to the owner of a company, but not the company itself. So the attorney hired us to kind of do some sleuthing, trying to figure out if it in fact was a commercial vehicle, and then trying to find a commercial policy on that particular vehicle, right? Commercial policies tend to be a little bit higher. This particular individual had a $25,000, $50,000 coverage. That is the minimum in New York of what you're required to have. The person injured had a much higher value to their case, but they did not have the insurance to support that. I ran the homeowner's address, and it turned out the guy lived in one of these big apartment complexes with like 300, 400 parking spaces. Never going to find that vehicle in that situation. So the next thing you do is you go and you look for LPR, right? License plate recognition. I've done some podcasts on that, PI Perspectives. Go check it out. We found another address that vehicle was consistently at. So I went on to Google Images, and I found an image, a street view of the area, and it looked like it was a commercial area. Here's my hack. So I went to the historical images, and I started going back and taking a look at any historical images of that particular street view. I found the vehicle, the same exact vehicle that I was looking for that was involved in the accident. There were parts of body damage to the vehicle that were consistent with photos from the actual accident. Google does is they blur out the license plates, so I couldn't have that license plate confirmation. But what Google Images doesn't do is they don't blur out the side of the vehicle. So it showed the side of the vehicle. I knew I had the correct vehicle. As I increased the size of that particular image, I found the name of the business. I was able to run a Department of State search on it. I got the name of the business, and I was able to connect the dots that the person who was insuring the vehicle was actually the principal of that particular business. And we find out there's like a $500,000 liability policy on the vehicle as opposed to just that basic $25,000. So we created more value for that particular individual, and they were able to get a better result on their case. Contact us today. Go visit our website, www.satellitepi.com.